y'all? It's the Dynasty family back with another banger. Alright, y'all. So look, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different because today I'm doing a story time, and we haven't done a story time in a long time, so I thought we would switch it up and give y'all a story time. So today I'm going to be talking about the time that my 7th grade middle school teacher was a pedophile. What the This is a story that I've never talked about publicly before, and I don't even talk about it too often actually, but I just wanted to come on and share it because I felt like it was a story that needed to be told. So when I was in 7th grade, we had this teacher who was considered to be like the cool guy. He was a very popular teacher. Everybody liked him. All the students loved him. And he was a substitute teacher. So he was not like a regular teacher. He was a substitute teacher. And so he taught a lot of us. Like when our regular teacher would be out sick or whatever the case might be, a lot of us we would get him. And I actually had him as a teacher several times. While he was teaching, there was always a lot of rumors going around the school that I used to hear about him and about the fact that he would party with the students, he would hang out with the students, he would smoke and drink with the students. Now, y'all gotta remember, at this time, I was in middle school. I was in 7th grade, so I was like 13. And we talking about 13, 14, 15-year-old kids, y'all. We talking about middle school kids. There was a rumor going around the whole school. And I know that all the teachers knew. I know the principal probably heard it too. Who knows? I never really knew if those rumors were true or not. I had always heard the rumors about him, but I found out.
What did she say?
The summer that I was supposed to go to 8th grade. So during that summer, I spent basically almost the entire summer at my aunt's house. I got my little shirt on to support breast cancer. So my friend, I'm going to call her KK because I don't want to use her real name in this video. So I had a friend named KK who was, I believe she was a year older than I was, because when I was in the 7th grade, she was in the 8th grade. So she was a year older than me. So at the time, I was 13 and my friend KK was 14. So I was spending the entire summer at my aunt's house. And my friend KK was spending some time with me there because my aunt wanted me to have, somebody my age around to, play with and interact with, blah, 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 blah. My older cousin was also there, but he was way older than us. He was, oh God, back then he probably had to be, I don't know, maybe like 19, 20. He was way older than us. So on this particular day, we was going to PG Mall. At the time, my aunt, she lived behind the malls, and so we were going to go to PG Mall and buy the relaxer or whatever so my friend KK could put the relaxer in my hair. Now, I remember it was really nice. It was a nice day outside. It was really hot, and I wanted to walk, so I was looking forward to walking to the mall with my friend KK. Right before we was getting ready to leave out the door, my friend KK was like, "Oh, I called us a ride."
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I was a little bit disappointed because I really wanted to walk, but I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So we waited a few minutes or whatever, and then we ended up leaving out. Now, as soon as her and I, because my aunt stayed in the house, so it was me and my friend KK, we left out the door. As soon as we got downstairs in front of her, like the lobby, and as we're walking through the lobby, I see this gray car pull up, and the car is like sitting in front of the front doors of her apartment building. At this point, we walking through the lobby, getting ready to go outside, and I kept thinking to myself, that car looked familiar. Like, where have I seen that car before? It was a nice car. It was like a Lexus or a Benz, but it was an older model. So we get through the lobby. My friend walks up to the car and gets in the car.
Nigga, what?
Now, when I get close enough to the car to see who was driving, when I tell y'all my whole mouth hit the floor, because it was none other than our teacher. Okay, I get in the car now. My friend got in the front seat with him, so she's sitting in the passenger seat. I get in the back seat. I'm sitting behind my friend KK. When I tell y'all I was so uncomfortable, I cannot even put into words how weird. It was just like a weird, I don't know. I was just really uncomfortable because I'm not used to hanging out with teachers after school. Another thing about him that I forgot to say earlier, all of the other kids at my school adored him because, again, he was like the cool teacher, right? But he always gave me weird vibes.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Well, he takes us to the mall and he parks. Now, I'm thinking that he was just going to drop us off and keep it moving. But when we get to the mall, he parks inside of the parking lot of the mall. And at this point, I'm kind of looking because I don't know what's going on. As soon as I open up the car door to get out, my friend KK was like, hold up. And I'm like, okay. So he turns the radio up. Next thing I know, them two in the front seat smoking weed. Now, the reason why I was so shocked by this is because my friend KK, I had been hanging out with her that whole summer. But the whole time that I had been around her, I never saw her smoke weed. It was shocking for me to sit here and see her sitting in the car with him smoking weed. They sitting there smoking weed. Now, I don't know whose weed it was, but I would guess that it probably was not her weed. And the reason why I don't think it was my friend KK weed is because I know my friend KK did not have any money. So it was probably most likely his weed. So anyway, we go inside the mall. He leaves. He drops us off. He leaves. We go inside the mall. We go to the beauty store. We get the relaxer for my hair. And I think after we got the relaxer, we walked around the mall. You know, we were teenagers. We walking around the mall, window shopping. We ain't really got no money. I think we bought some snacks, like maybe a couple of honey buns and a soda. You know, we bought some little snacks and we just walking around, kicking the bobo. Now, one point when we were getting ready to leave, I had to use the bathroom. And so I remember my friend KK walked with me to the bathroom and I went inside the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, she was on the phone. They used to have a wall with a whole bunch of payphones right there on the wall. At the time, I didn't really think anything of it. Like, you know, whatever. I don't know who she called. I don't know who she was talking to. I assume she was probably talking to her mother or her sister or somebody. I don't know. Cool. So we walked around the mall for a couple of more minutes and we left. When we left, we went and stood outside of the mall. And we was out there talking to some of our friends because back in the day, Prince George's Plaza's mall was like the hangout spot for us. We see a group of girls that we knew from school. So, you know, we stopped and we all outside, you know, everybody's talking. Next thing I know, I see the same gray car pull up to where we at. And I'm looking, because I was talking to my friend. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a movement. So I'm looking, and it's him. It's our teacher.
What? What the fuck?
And so I'm like, what is he doing here? So I'm tapping her on the arm, and I'm like, you know, I'm pointing in his direction, but I'm trying to be low key about it because I didn't want him to see me pointing. So I'm like, you know, and she was like, he gonna take us back to your aunt's house. And I looked at her and I'm like, take us back to my aunt's house? Why does he need to? Again, I was looking forward to walking home, y'all, because it was a nice day. Now, something else I forgot to tell y'all earlier, this particular substitute teacher was in his late 20s. He was either 27 or 28. We get in a car with him. We say goodbye to all of our friends that was standing right there, and we get in the car with him. Now, as we get in the car with him, a couple of our friends who were still standing in front of the mall, they was like waving at him, and they was yelling out his name. Hey, Mr., let's just call him Mr. H. Why am I the only one who thinks it's strange that this grown teacher is hanging out with 13 and 14-year-old girls during the summertime? I get in the car, she gets in the car, them two talking, right? The whole time I'm in the car, I never really said too much to him. I mean, of course I spoke when I first got in the car. I'm like, hey, how you doing? But I didn't, because again, he had always given me weird vibes. We get to my aunt's house. When he pulls up, I'm thinking, like when he turns into my aunt's complex, I'm thinking, okay, finally, I'm about to get out the car and get away from this weird teacher. No. Instead of him pulling up to the lobby so we can get out, he backs the car up and pulls into a parking space. So at this point, I'm just like, yo, like, what is going on? I'm trying to, get inside. I'm not trying to be hanging out here with this teacher who's 27 or 28 years old. Them two are sitting there still smoking their weed. Next thing I know, the cops come out. Listen, y'all, I could not. I'm telling y'all that, oh my God. I was just, even thinking about it now, all of these years later, it's still just, I'm just amazed and shocked at what I witnessed that day, even all these years later. He did not offer me a drink. I don't know what they were drinking because I couldn't see what was in it, because it was like the cups or the bottle. Let's say this is a bottle. The bottle was in a plastic bag, right? So the only thing I could see was like the tip of the bottle. I think that was liquor. He poured a cup for her, and he poured a cup for himself. And they was sitting there smoking their weed, drinking, listening to music, cool and talking, whatever. And I'm just sitting in the back seat again, very uncomfortable, very just like, this is weird to me. So finally, we go in the house. I pulled my friend KK into the room, into my cousin's room, because he wasn't home. I closed the door so my aunt couldn't hear. And, I'm jumping down her throat. I'm like, what's up with you and Mr. H? Like, what's going on? Listen, this is not, I'm not used to this kind of stuff. Like, what is really going on with you and this dude? So my friend KK was giving me very vague answers, y'all. Like, she was basically brushing it off and, basically trying to make it seem like, oh, he's just my friend. We just cool. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what you mean he just your friend? How are you friends with a 27 or 28-year-old man? This particular girl, I remember my dad did not like her. The summer goes on. I don't think nothing of it again until about, we started school. We went back to school. At this point, I was in 8th grade, and my friend KK had went to high school, because remember, she was a year older than me. So she was now in high school. She was a freshman. She was a freshman in high school, and I'm in 8th grade. So at this point, when that summer ended and we all went back to school, I kind of like lost contact with her. Like, I didn't really lose contact with her, but we just stopped hanging out for real. So anyway, Mr. H is still the teacher at my middle school. He's still a substitute teacher, whatever. The rumors are still flying around about him hanging out with people, or hanging out with the students and smoking and drinking with the students and all this and that, whatever. He was still giving me weird vibes every time I came around him. In October, my friend, who, I'm not going to use her real name either, we just going to call her T. So my friend T had a party, and I will never forget it. She had a birthday party, and I'll never forget it because it was the biggest party of the year. And everybody came. Everybody was talking about this party, and I was kind of scared because I was like, at the time, my dad was very, very, very strict, and it was to the point where he would not allow me to wear nail polish. He would not allow me to wear skirts or shorts that were higher than my knee. Like, my dad was really, really strict. So I didn't even know if I could go to this party. Like, I didn't know if I was going to be allowed to go. And I really, really wanted to go to this party because everybody in school was talking about it, and it was going to be like the party of the year. So I'm like, man, I really want to go. I knew that it was going to be a lot of high school kids at this party because my friend T, her older sister, went to Northwestern High School. And so I knew it was going to be a lot of high school kids there. So I'm like, man, I really want to go to this party, whatever, whatever. So my dad ended up letting me go to this party, to my surprise. He ended up letting me go. But the kicker was, he had to take me, drove me to the party with my stepmama, and I'm sitting in the middle. And my dad right here, my stepmama, I'm sitting in the middle. And they dropped me off at the party. You talking about embarrassing? Yes, that was embarrassing for me. But when I walked up, nobody seemed to notice. Now, the party was lit. I'm going to tell you, this was probably the most lit party of the year. When I walked up, first of all, my friend T had a big house, right? And her front porch was huge. So when I first got out my dad's car and I walked up to the party, all you saw on the front porch was nothing but teenagers. You heard a bunch of music. People was out there dancing and beating their feet and battle dancing. And I mean, the vibe, it was just lit. The energy was lit. I'm like, hey, we lit. Right? The energy, it was turned up. I go into the party. I'm talking to my friends. I'm kicking it. I'm cooling. You know, I'm dancing. I'm having a good time until about, I want to say 30 or 40 minutes into the party, right? I look in the corner of the room and I see Mr. H. Sitting in a white chair. Now, let me tell y'all, when I saw this man at this party, which again, there was nothing there but middle school kids and high school kids. And the only reason that it was so many high school kids at this party is because my friend who partied it was my friend T. Her sister was in high school. So there was a lot of high school kids there, and there were also like a lot of 8th grade middle school kids there. So it was like a mix. But I see him there and I'm like, why is he here? So immediately, y'all, my vibe went from 100 to 0. Like, he killed my whole vibe. My vibe just said, soon as I seen him, I was just like, wow. So I immediately jumped up and started looking for my friend T, because it was her party. I'm looking. So I finally find her and I'm like, I need to talk to you. So I grabbed her by her arm and I'm pulling her. I'm like, we got to go somewhere quiet because we yelling over top of the music. So we ended up going to her backyard, but like all the way into the corner of her backyard. And we're talking and I'm telling her, I'm like, why is this man here? Why is Mr. H here? This is weird. Like, why is he here? This is a party for middle school people and, you know, high school kids. Why is he here? So what my friend T told me was that her mother was cool with him. Her mother was cool with Mr. H. And Mr. H basically told her mom, like, look, I know, you know, y'all having this party and, you know, I'll help you to chaperone the kids. Now, he probably is the worst chaperone on earth because y'all got to remember, this the same teacher that's smoking with the students, drinking with the students. So he definitely would not be in my top 10 list of chaperones. So anyway, I guess he was there to supposedly, allegedly be chaperoning the kids. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go back inside the party. It was some underage drinking going on too. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. There was some underage drinking going on at this party. To her mother's credit, she was trying to, the lady was trying her best. There was only a couple of adults at this party and it was mostly teenagers. So the teenagers, we outnumbered the adults. we outnumbered the adults. It was way more kids at this party than there were adults. And the whole time that the party was going on, my friend's mother was just running around like from room to room and going outside on the porch, just trying to keep watch over everything, basically. And you can't always watch and see everything. When you have a party that's this big, and that was a big party, a huge party. When you have a party that's that big and you're outnumbered, and it's mostly teenagers, and it's only like maybe 3 adults, it's going to be a lot of things that go on during that party that the adults, it's going to slip past them. I go back into the living room, and I see Mr. H. And Mr. H is still sitting in the same exact seat that he was sitting in when I grabbed my friend T and said, let's go outside to talk. He's still sitting in that same exact seat, except for now, he's sitting in the seat holding a red cup. And I'm like, why is he drinking at this party? How are you supposed to be chaperoning these kids? Okay, whatever. My whole vibe was killed. So the whole time that I'm sitting there, I'm watching him. For some reason, I wasn't surprised when a girl who I don't know if this young lady was in high school or middle school, and I don't know who this young lady is. She was not one of my friends. I don't know her. But she was there. She was at the party. She comes over to where Mr. H is sitting at, right? He's sitting in his seat, sipping his cup, whatever he drinking, I don't know. But she comes over to where he's sitting at, and she starts dancing right in front of him. And when I say dancing, I don't mean just regular dancing. Like, she was bending over and, this is him. Let's say this is him, right? Sitting in his seat. She's right here, and she's like, woo, shaking her butt all in his face and all. And he's just sitting there. And I'm like, why don't nobody else see this shit? Me? I'm looking around and I'm tapping my friends. I'm like, look at this. And everybody like, girl. And I'm just like, why is nobody saying anything about this 27/28-year-old man who is basically letting this clearly underage girl freak all up on him? And ain't nobody saying nothing. And my friend's mother, my friend T, her mother was running in and out, and she didn't even see what was going on because there's so many people at the party. She's running in and out, and she didn't see it. And I'm just like, this is not cool, man. I'm gonna tell y'all this. There were, like I said in the beginning of the video, there were a lot of rumors going on in school about this particular teacher. And the rumors were always that he would drink with the students and he would smoke with the students and basically he would party with the students. I never really believed the rumors, right? Because I always just thought, well, they rumors. But I always thought that it was something weird about him. But I never necessarily believed the rumors until that day with my friend KK. That day when I saw with my own 2 eyes him smoking with my friend KK, who was only 14 years old at the time, and him drinking with my friend KK. Then I started believing the rumors, and I'm like, yeah, those rumors are definitely true because I witnessed it with my own eyes. But when I saw him letting this clearly underage girl who looked like she was probably maybe 14 or 15 years old, maybe 16 at the most, when I saw that he was sitting there letting this little teenage girl freak all up on him and shake her butt all in his face, and he seemed to be sitting there enjoying it, it went from this is just a teacher that's partying with the kids to me feeling like this is a teacher who was really a pedophile. Like something, listen, I saw you smoking and drinking with my friend KK in the summertime, and I didn't like that. But I still tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I said, well, maybe he's not a pedophile. Maybe he's just a bad person. Maybe he just got bad judgment. I'm only 13 years old at the time, y'all. So I'm not really thinking in an adult sense. You get what I'm saying? I knew something about it wasn't right, though. But when I saw him at this party letting this teenage girl freak all up on him, I was outraged by that. And I was just like, dog, like this is pedophilic behavior, and no one is saying anything about it. And I honestly feel like he was allowed to do this for so long. Like, he was allowed to party with the students and drink with people and all this stuff for so long because nobody told their parents. Think about it. If you 13 or 14 years old and you smoking and drinking with your teacher, are you really going to tell your parents? No. Because then it's like you going to get in trouble because why was you even smoking and drinking? So he was able to get away with this kind of behavior for years. He was able to do this for a very long time. And none of the kids told their parents because nobody wanted to get in trouble. The thing about it, though, is, and the thing that really gets me, I know for a fact that there were other teachers in my school who knew. They knew about his reputation. I've always wondered, like, why is it that even though the other teachers knew what was going on, nobody said anything? Now, fast forward to a couple of years later, I was in high school, and I think I was in like 10th or 11th grade at the time, and I found out through some of my friends that Mr. H had been fired or had gotten in trouble because of allegations that, you know, he was partaking in sexual behavior, basically statutory rape with underage girls in the school. And it didn't surprise me. Like, when the allegations finally came out, it didn't surprise me because I'm like, again, he was hanging with my friend KK, smoking and drinking with her. Then I saw him at my friend's tea party, and he was letting a little underage teenage girl freak dance all on him. So the allegations that he was having or having some sort of inappropriate relationship with his underage students did not surprise me. From what I heard, Mr. H had allegedly been fired. I don't know if he was ever arrested. I don't know if anyone's parents ever pressed charges against this man. I believe, to my knowledge, Maryland is one of the few states that does not have a statute of limitations when it comes to statutory rape. Like, share, subscribe to help a small YouTube channel grow, y'all. We got to really start supporting the smaller YouTube channels because I ran across a lot of talent. Like, I've been on people's channels and I'm like, damn, you should have way more subscribers than you got. You should have way more views than you got. Like, this is talent. This is entertainment. This is talent. So I just want people to start supporting small YouTubers. Mama J, and I'm out.
If you found the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah. I surround my soul with the positivity. That's why I don't worry about the things that I don't see, yeah. These days I don't worry about much. I think we should have some more fun. I still dream about the days when we were young. I'll take a hit and still finish in one, yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, oh.